Welcome back to Women of Worth, the podcast where we explore ways to improve mental health, self-love, and overall well-being. Today, we're talking about something that is so important, yet often overlooked: self-care. In our busy lives, it's easy to forget to take time for ourselves. Between work, family, and other commitments, we push our own needs aside and allow stress to pile up. But here's the truth: self-care isn't a luxury, it's a necessity, especially when it comes to our mental health. In today's episode, we'll be diving into simple yet effective self-care rituals that can make a huge difference in how you feel, mentally, emotionally, and even physically. Whether it's starting your day with mindfulness, learning to say no, or finding time for hobbies you love, these practices will help you recharge and stay resilient through life's challenges. But before we dive in, if you're new here, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We post new episodes every week, filled with tips and advice to help you live a happier, healthier life. And if you know someone who could use a little more self-care in their life, go ahead and share this episode with them. Together, we can create a community of empowered women who support each other in becoming their best selves. Now, let's get into it. Here are the self-care rituals that will help you boost your mental health and live a more balanced life.
Hey everyone, so have you ever felt like you're just completely running on fumes, juggling a million things, and self-care is just like one more thing on that never-ending to-do list?
It's so common.
Yeah.
Especially for women, right?
Yeah, and I think the pressure to do it all can be so immense.
Absolutely.
So in this deep dive, we're going to uncover kind of the secrets of self-care, and not just, the why it's important, but actually how to actually do it.
Yeah, the how is the big question, isn't it? Because we hear all the stuff about self-care, but then it's like, okay, well, I'm already doing all these other things.
Right, where do I fit it in?
Exactly.
So let's just get right into it. What happens when we just constantly push self-care to the back burner?
Well, it's funny. We often think of self-care as like a luxury, right? Like bubble bath and a glass of wine.
Oh, yeah.
Which, those are great.
Those are great.
But the truth is, it's actually directly linked to our mental and physical well-being. So it's really more like preventative medicine for your mind.
Okay, I love that. Preventative medicine. So let's break that down. What happens when we just don't do it? What happens in our bodies and minds?
Well, imagine running a marathon but never stopping to refuel or rest.
Ooh, that's not good.
Yeah, eventually you're going to hit a wall, right?
For sure.
And it's the same with our mental health. When we're constantly stressed, our bodies, they're pumping out cortisol, the stress hormone.
Oh, yes, cortisol.
And it starts to impact everything. Our mood, our sleep, even our immune system. There's research showing that chronic stress can actually shrink the hippocampus.
What is that?
It's the part of our brain responsible for memory and learning.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's serious.
It is serious.
It's not just, I'm feeling a little frazzled. This is protecting our brains.
Exactly.
Long term.
Yeah, in the long run, for sure.
Okay, but let's be honest. Making time for self-care can feel impossible.
It can.
Our sources highlight some really specific challenges I think a lot of us, particularly women, face, and I think a lot of listeners are going to relate to this.
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest hurdles is guilt. Society often puts this pressure on women to be the caregivers, the nurturers, the ones who put everybody else's needs first. So when a woman takes time for herself, she might feel selfish or like she's neglecting her responsibilities. And we see this over and over again in the research. Like Sarah, for example, she's a working mom.
Oh, yeah.
And even taking 15 minutes to read a book, she feels guilty about it.
Oh, the mom guilt is so real.
It's real.
Okay, so there's the guilt, and then, of course, there's just the ever-present challenge of, overwhelming schedules. I mean, between work, family, kids, errands, social commitments.
Yeah.
When are we supposed to find time for ourselves?
Right, you're telling me. And it's like you're constantly racing against the clock and you always feel like you're losing. Like Maria, in our research, she's a corporate executive.
Oh, yeah.
And she's constantly going from meeting to meeting and rushing home to make dinner and do all the household chores.
It never ends.
It's exhausting.
And then on top of that, there's the perfectionism hurdle, which I know I really struggle with. It's this idea that we have to excel at everything, be super efficient, and just never drop the ball.
Never mess up.
And taking time for self-care can almost feel like admitting defeat, like you're not doing enough.
It's like saying you're not good enough, basically. And, we see that a lot with Emma in the research. She's driven and successful, but she's a total perfectionist.
But she doesn't have time to rest.
She just pushes herself relentlessly. And the idea of slowing down, even for self-care, feels like a weakness.
Okay, so we've got these like major roadblocks, guilt, crazy schedules, and the pressure to be perfect.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's enough to make anyone want to just give up. But here's the good news.
Oh, good.
There are ways to overcome these challenges.
There are.
Yes, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We're not just talking theory here. We're diving into real-life solutions that can actually fit into a busy life.
I like the sound of that.
Me too.
It's incredible how even those small acts of self-care can really make a difference.
Yeah.
It's like those tiny little adjustments
Yeah.
to a sailboat's rudder that can completely change its course.
Ooh, I like that. So instead of like feeling overwhelmed, let's focus on those small but mighty adjustments.
Exactly.
Our sources highlight some incredibly practical self-care rituals that we're going to talk about. First up, morning mindfulness.
Oh, yes.
Now, I know what you might be thinking.
What's that?
Who has time for mindfulness when I'm barely getting everybody out the door in the morning?
Right.
But trust me, this one is a game changer.
He really is. You see, starting your day with even just a few minutes of mindfulness can set the tone for everything that follows.
Okay.
Instead of just like jumping right into that reactive mode, you're actually creating space to center yourself
Yeah.
before the crazy chaos hits.
Okay.
And physiologically, you're actually training your nervous system
Yeah.
to be less reactive to stress.
So it's like putting on your armor before you go into battle for the day.
Exactly.
But what does that actually look like? Like, what is morning mindfulness?
Well, it can be as simple as taking 5 or 10 minutes for some deep breathing exercises.
Okay.
There are so many apps and guided meditations that are out there.
They're everywhere.
Or even just sitting in a quiet spot and focusing on the sensation of your breath.
Okay.
The key is to really bring your attention to the present moment
Mm-hmm.
and just letting go of those worries about the past or the future.
Okay, so that's sounds kind of doable.
Yeah.
And we have Lisa from our research to back this up, right?
Yes. Lisa's a very busy woman.
Oh, yeah.
And she started incorporating just 10 minutes of meditation into her morning routine.
Wow.
And she found that it just made her days noticeably calmer.
Okay.
So even when things got really hectic, she was able to handle them with more grace and less stress.
I love that. That's so encouraging.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that those small changes can have a big impact.
They really can.
Okay, so we've conquered the morning. But what about like unwinding at night?
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
I know a lot of us struggle to just like switch off those racing thoughts and get a good night's sleep.
Sleep is so essential for our mental health.
It is.
And one of the best ways to really improve sleep quality is by establishing a really calming bedtime routine.
Oh,
So you're signaling to your body and mind that it's time to transition from like go mode
right.
to rest mode.
Okay. I haven't had a bedtime routine since I was a kid. What kind of things should we be doing?
Well, one key element is disconnecting from electronics.
Okay.
At least an hour before bed.
Really? An hour?
Yeah, because that blue light from the screens
Oh, yeah.
can really interfere with our sleep hormones.
That makes sense.
Makes it harder to fall asleep and stay asleep.
Okay. I'm so guilty of that. Like scrolling
I know, me too.
right before bed.
It's so tempting.
So no phones. What else?
Think about things that relax you. Reading a book, taking a warm bath, listening to calming music, maybe some gentle stretching.
Ooh. I'm picturing myself in a bubble bath with a good book. Definitely sounds relaxing.
Right.
And we have Carla from our research who found it's really helpful, right?
Yes. Carly used to really struggle with insomnia,
Oh, yeah.
but once she started sticking to a consistent bedtime routine,
Uh-huh.
she noticed a huge improvement in her sleep quality.
Oh.
She fell asleep more easily, and she woke up feeling more refreshed and less anxious.
So it's not just about what we do like right before bed, but actually having that like consistent pattern.
Yes, that signal to our body,
Yeah,
it's time to rest.
I like that. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about exercise.
Okay.
Now, I know it's good for us.
Yeah,
But sometimes it feels like just one more chore to add to the list.
for sure.
How do we make exercise like work for our mental health and not against it?
I think the key is to find movement that you genuinely enjoy.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be about those grueling workouts or hitting the gym for hours.
Thank goodness.
Right. It could be dancing to your favorite playlist,
Oh, fun.
taking a walk in nature,
Oh, yeah.
doing a yoga class online.
Okay, so it's about making it fun and accessible.
It should be fun.
Yeah.
And the benefits go way beyond just physical fitness.
Oh, for sure.
Exercise has a really profound impact on our brain chemistry.
Okay, how so?
Well, when we move our bodies, we release endorphins.
Yes. Those feel-good chemicals.
Yes, those are the ones. Yes, those are our natural mood boosters.
Yes, I still love those.
But it goes even deeper than that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, exercise actually helps to regulate our stress response system.
Okay.
So it's making us more resilient to the ups and downs of life.
So we're building up our mental resilience through movement.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Mhm.
And speaking of resilience, our sources highlight another really powerful self-care ritual, which is practicing gratitude.
Yes.
This one I'm really intrigued by. Tell me more about this one.
Well, gratitude is all about shifting our focus
Okay.
from what's wrong to
Right.
what's right in our lives. It's about recognizing and appreciating the good, even amidst challenges.
I like that.
Yeah,
It's easy to get caught up in negativity, especially when we're stressed.
absolutely.
So how does practicing gratitude actually help? Like, what does that do?
Well, studies have actually shown that gratitude can change our brain chemistry.
What?
Yeah, it can increase activity in areas that are associated with happiness,
Wow.
and it can reduce activity in the areas associated with stress and fear.
So we're basically rewiring our brains for positivity.
Exactly.
That's amazing. So how do we actually integrate gratitude into our daily lives? Like, do we need to go on a retreat or something?
No, not at all. It can be as simple as spending a few minutes each day writing down 3 things
Ah.
you're grateful for.
Okay.
And it could be anything. A delicious cup of coffee, a sunny day, a meaningful conversation with a friend.
Ah, I like that.
The key is to really savor those moments
Yeah.
and let that feeling of appreciation sink in.
So it's about those like little moments of joy that
Yeah.
we often take for granted.
Absolutely.
And we have Michelle from our research to kind of illustrate this, right?
Yes. Michelle started keeping a gratitude journal,
Okay.
and she found that even on those tough days,
Yeah.
focusing on those small positive moments helped her to manage her stress better.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like she was creating this mental inventory of all the good things
Oh, I like that.
in her life.
Yeah, so it's a powerful reminder that like we always have something to be thankful for,
We do.
no matter what's going on.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've covered morning mindfulness, bedtime routine exercise, and gratitude.
It's a lot.
What else do we need to add to our self-care toolkit?
Well, this next one is especially important for women,
Okay.
and it might be the most challenging. Learning to say no. It can be so hard to say no.
Oh, it is.
Especially for women.
Yeah.
You know, we're kind of conditioned to be people pleasers and to put others' needs before our own.
Mm-hmm.
But really saying no is a fundamental act of self-care.
Yeah, it's about setting those healthy boundaries,
Exactly.
protecting our time and energy,
Yes.
so we can show up as our best selves for the things that really matter.
I love that. And think about it this way. Every time you say yes to something that drains you or doesn't really align with your values, you're essentially saying no to something that really nourishes you.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
So true. We need to like fill our own cups first
Yes, fill your cup up.
before we can give to others.
Absolutely.
But saying no can just feel so uncomfortable.
It can.
Like we're worried about disappointing people or seeming selfish.
I mean, it is a skill, it takes practice.
Yeah.
But like Rachel in our research,
Yeah.
she was a teacher who was constantly overwhelmed
Oh, yeah.
with taking on like extra responsibilities at work. And once she started saying no more often,
Mhm.
she realized she had more time and energy for things that really mattered to her, like
That's it.
spending time with her family and pursuing her hobbies.
That's a great example.
Hmm.
It shows that saying no isn't about being like unkind
Right.
or unhelpful.
Yeah.
It's really about prioritizing our well-being.
Yes.
So we can actually show up, more fully in all the areas of our lives that matter most.
Yes.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We talked about morning mindfulness, bedtime routines, exercise gratitude, and the power of saying no.
We did it.
I want to touch on one more self-care ritual before we wrap up, that our source kind of tapping into our creative side.
Yes. Engaging in creative hobbies can be so therapeutic.
Yeah.
It's a way to express ourselves, de-stress, and tap into that sense of joy and accomplishment.
Well, it's like giving our brains a break
Yes.
from the everyday grind.
Absolutely. And it doesn't matter what you choose to do. It could be painting, writing, gardening,
Yeah.
playing a musical instrument, anything that sparks your interest and allows you to kind of get lost in the moment.
Yeah, it's about finding that thing that just makes you lose track of time and brings you pure joy.
I love that.
And we have Clara from our research, right, who illustrates this.
Yes. Clara used to love painting, but she kind of let it fall by the wayside with her busy schedule.
Yeah.
But once she started carving out time for her art again,
Yeah.
she found it not only relaxed her, but it brought a sense of balance and fulfillment to her life.
I love that. It's a great reminder that self-care doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming.
No, it doesn't.
It can be as simple as rediscovering a hobby that brings you joy.
Absolutely. And remember, self-care is not like a one-size-fits-all.
Oh,
It's really about finding what works for you,
yeah.
what nourishes your soul,
Mm,
and helps you feel your best.
yes.
Experiment and explore, and don't be afraid to adjust things as needed.
So it's about creating kind of a personalized self-care toolkit
Yes.
that we can draw from
Exactly.
whenever we need it. Well, I think that's a beautiful way to wrap up this deep dive.
It is.
We've really explored, the why behind self-care,
Yeah.
delved into some practical rituals,
Mhm.
and even tackled the challenges that often stand in our way.
We did it.
It's been such a pleasure diving into this topic with you today.
It has with you too.
Remember, everyone, self-care isn't selfish. It's essential.
It is.
It's an investment in your well-being, your happiness, and your ability to really thrive in all areas of your life.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, we invite you to like, subscribe, and share it with others who might benefit from this conversation.
Yes, spread the love.
We really believe that everyone deserves to experience that transformative power of self-care.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us on this journey of self-discovery.
Yes, thank you.
Until next time, take good care of yourselves.